This week's themed species is the most popular fish in the world. It has many names like bull, tiger, mako, and the great white. Get ready for the shark show here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello, Floridians, and welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. It's been a little June gloomy around the state, but hopefully the sun gods will give us a little break for all those dads who plan on being out on the water this weekend, right, Rick?
I know my Father's Day always shines, Bree, but you know what? I get to spend part of my weekend with you doing a Sportsman's Adventure episode.
Yes,
I'm excited about that.
I'm very excited too. Well, as you can see, we have a packed studio audience and a very special guest. Dr. Guy Harvey is in the house to talk about his shark tagging program within the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation and Research Institute. Guy, thank you so much for being here.
My
we can't wait
pleasure.
to talk to you tonight. Okay, well, Dave at the CCA workbench will be fishing with his little ones this weekend, right, Dave? I hope so.
No. No.
What?
They love me, and they're not going to go fishing with me, probably.
Dad
They
gets to
really
fish
love
by
me a lot,
himself.
so they'll let me go with my dog.
We got some good shark goodies over here for Father's Day this weekend.
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah,
Tons.
always.
Yeah,
Always good stuff.
stuff.
All right, well, we've got a lot of ground to cover tonight, so let's get started in the StarTron Central West region with Captain Jeff Page. Jeff, what you got for us this weekend?
I think we might need a bigger boat.
Love that.
We got no shortage of sharks in the StarTron Central West region, nor do we have a shortage of ways to catch them. You know, we have a lot of land fishermen in this region, and a lot of guys fish at night off our beaches. Sometimes they'll paddle their baits out in their kayaks and drop them. Sometimes if there's an offshore breeze, they'll let the balloon tied to it and let it drift it out. And then we also have a lot of piers, from El Jobin Pier to the south to the big Skyway Pier to the north, where we catch lots of sharks. As far as our boating, in the open part of South Tampa Bay and in the big mouth of Charlotte Harbor, lots of bull sharks, hammerheads, and black tips that guys can catch without having to go out into the open Gulf. As for the open Gulf, of course, we have the passes where all the tarpons are right now. You're going to get your shot at your big hammerhead or bull shark there. It's hard to beat a big chunk of bonita or a big chunk of jack for bait. And don't forget the chum. I've got a shark photo tonight of our good friend Bo Johnson of Tenacity Guide Service down south with young Megan Heyer helping out Bo and the Moat Marine Lab in a tagging effort they did a couple weeks ago down in Charlotte Harbor.
All right, great, Paige. What else you got for me?
All right, near shore, but in the offshore, but close to the beach, anywhere from, say, 2 to 6 miles at 60 feet range, bonitas are going off, Rick. Captain Eric White of Legacy Charters out of Venice says that you just got to get out there and you're going to find the birds, you're going to find the bait schools, and you're going to see the bonitas blowing up. Once you find them, you can throw small spoons or 4-inch saltwater assassin sea shads in the bone diamond pattern on a silver 1/4 or 3/8 ounce assassin jig head, and also have a couple of flat lines ready, because Eric says the cobias have been in the mix as well. And he says also that our theme species, the man in the gray suit, the shark's been out there, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a shark rod out as well. Moving inshore, I can't quit talking about the snook. It remains the #1 inshore bite throughout our region, and coming off this full moon that we had last week, mixed with 4 inches of rain, we have a recipe for good snook on top water and subsurface plugs like skitterwalks and the bone chartreuse pattern, and also the #7 subwalk in the bone chartreuse pattern. Try working the oyster bars out front of Catfish Creek, as well as Turtle Bay down south, and the Long Bar Point area in North Sarasota Bay. As far as live bait, free line pilchards or pinfish on the outgoing tide and Stump Pass and Longboat Pass is tough to beat. I got a snook photo tonight of my good friend Mike O'Hara of Donovan Supply of Florida with a nice Boca Grande snook. And finally, redfish. Don't get too excited, but with all this rain we've had, some redfish are starting to show up in our region. First down south, west side of Lemon Bay, from Stump Pass north to Tom Adams Bridge. fish the spoil islands on the higher stages of the tide with cut ladyfish chunks, or try throwing the saltwater assassin golden brim 5-inch jerkbait tight to the bushes. And then up north, the docks in North Sarasota Bay and the Manatee River with live pinfish. And I've got a photo tonight, and this tip about the North Manatee River comes from Captain Taylor Ron of Ultimate Fishing Adventures, and that's young Advic with his first redfish he caught in his life.
Wow.
All right, Paige, thank you so much. Way to get us started. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Daiquiri Deck Central West hotspots. Inshore tarpon, the bite remains strong with lots of fish up and down the beaches. And then offshore, red grouper holding on hard bottom in 65 to 80 feet of water off of Venice. You want to use squid and sardines as bait, Bree.
Okay, moving right along to the Yeti Panhandle region, Captain Pat Deneen has the shark fishing dialed in. Happy early Father's Day, Pat.
Thanks, Bree. Yeah, I tell you what, we do have sharks in the bay like they do down south with Paige there, primarily bull sharks and blacktip sharks, but most of the shark fishing in the Panhandle occurs out in the Gulf. And along the beaches, it's blacktip sharks, sharp-nosed sharks, spinners, bull sharks. They're all the main targeted species that you're going to find, within a quarter mile or basically from the color change to the beach. Find areas rich with life, either schools of bait fish, blue runners, or ladyfish, and you're sure to find some sharks. Live or fresh chunk ladyfish is probably the best bait you can use for the coastal sharks. And on a clear, calm day, it's actually a pretty fun fishery to sight fish these guys because we've got that clean water, and you can see them come and cast a bait out to them. Further offshore on the wrecks and reefs, it's going to be bull sharks, dusky sharks, some tiger sharks, pretty much all the big players. Again, anywhere you find an abundance of life, chances are you're going to find some sharks in that area. So the barges that are stacked up with amberjacks right now surely have some sharks on them. You want to chum with bonitas, free line a bonita fillet or a butterfly bonita, and you're sure to have a shark bite within a pretty quick time. Staying offshore, the charter boats offshore are targeting red snappers and vermilion snappers and having some really nice catches. The federal waters are open for recreational anglers fishing on a permitted charter boat. It looks like the recreational anglers are going to get some additional federal water days here coming up soon. That was approved, I believe, today. But right now, if you want to go any time of the week, you can get on a federally permitted boat and go out and do some snapper fishing. Every day, these guys are coming in with some really nice catches. You don't need to be on a charter boat. The party boats are catching some nice ones as well. The Swoop and Destin came in with a 30-pounder earlier this week. They're using live cigar minnows and herrings on a slip sinker rig, and the bigger vermilion snappers are being caught on live bait rigs, but most of them are being caught on a two-hook chicken-type rig with cut bait. Moving inshore, the tarpon are here throughout the Panhandle, from Apalachicola to Pensacola in good numbers. And over in Apalachicola, you're going to find them in the passes along the beaches of St. George Island and St. Vincent Island, and then also up in the bay towards East Point. In Appalachia, they're primarily feeding on the menhaden, so find those schools of menhaden, and you're most likely going to find some tarpon. You can get away with using a big circle hook and 80-pound plus bite leaders because the water's pretty stained over there in the bay. Along the beaches westward, all the way to Pensacola, the fish are swimming west, and the water's much clearer, so you're going to need to lighten up on your terminal tackle. We've been using 60-pound bite tippets, a 6/0 VMC circle hook, and we're baiting them with live cigar minnows, live herrings or speedos, and threadfin herrings. Right now, there's been a lot of schools of smaller tarpon, the 40 to 50, 60-pounders, but there's an increasingly number of large, full-grown fish. And there's a photo of Jim Bailey of Dallas. He's been fishing with me the last couple of weeks. We've been catching tarpons pretty much every day, and that was a shot from Monday before the heavy weather moved in midday.
Nice picture, Pat. All right, what about some triple tails, bud?
Yeah, Rick, the triple tails are they're found throughout the Panhandle, primarily offshore, but over in Apalachicola, they're in the bay and in the passes. You're going to find them on free-floating in the passes, primarily on an outgoing tide. Look for them right there on the tide line. Up inside the bay, you're going to find them primarily around some structure, either the marker buoys or crab pots. Have a heavy spinning rod rig with a float, 3 feet a leader, and a stout circle hook. As passive as they seem, once you hook them, they're pretty strong fighters. So have your tackle rigged up right. Use a live shrimp or a cut menhaden or a DOA shrimp. And if you want to go over there and get them and don't know your way around, give Sean Chalker a call of Bar Hopman Charters. He specializes in that.
All right, Pat, thank you so much. That's a great report from the Yeti Panhandle region. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the blue water outrigger hotspots. Inshore, Bayside, the speckled trout at first light using live menhaden, pilchards on the grass flats, are the go-to bait, and then offshore deep drop for some tile fish or groupers north of the spur and 900 feet using cut bait on a multi-hook deep drop rig.
All right, we're just jumping into the weekend, guys, so stick around to hear the report for the Florida Keys and also the coveted rigs and techniques with Dave Farrell at the CCA Workbench.
Coveted.
Yeah, you like
Coveted.
that? You like that?
That's a big word.
But we also have Guy Harvey talking about sharks, so you don't want to miss that. But
Well, he knows a lot more about them than I do.
You think?
maybe
Little
a little, maybe a little bit. Well, we'll see you guys in just a little bit.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation. Daiquiri Deck. Sarasota's favorite place to meet. Q-Max. Maximum saltwater protection. And Sea Sucker. Get pumped.
Oh, snap.
Every truck guy has their own way of conveying powerful.
Yeah, boy.
Kind of looks like a monster coming to eat you. Holy smokes.
That is awesome. Strong.
You got the basic and you got the beefy.
I just think it looks mean.
Incredible. No way. Getting goosebumps.
Get 17% below MSRP on all Silverado 1500 LT pickups in stock. That's over $8,100 on this Chevy Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Meet the water's lightest 25 horsepower four-stroke, the all-new Yamaha F25, the new standard and 25 horsepower portable four-strokes. At just 126 pounds, it's got the best power-to-weight ratio of any 25 horsepower four-stroke on the water. With performance that bests the previous Yamaha F25 and features like Yamaha's VTS for precise trolling speeds, batteryless EFI, built-in resting pads, and carry handles, it's the perfect portable power for small boats.
It's one of the most ancient forms of hide and seek known to man. And nobody knows how to play the fishing game better than the backcountry guides and offshore captains of the Florida Keys and Key West. Ready or not, here we come.
Welcome back, guys and gals. Let's now take a look at the FWC news and notes. June 24th, there's a kids fishing clinic in Cape Canaveral, and July 15th, there's another kids fishing clinic in Palm Coast. Fishing is all about the kids in the summertime. All right, for more information, visit myfwc.com, but now it's time for Rigs and Techniques.
Well, Dave, you know I love sharks, and
I do
certainly we're going to talk about rigs and techniques here at the CCA Workbench. So
I bet I knew much about sharks in 1979 than Guy Harvey, because I was in them, boy. When I was a little kid, first time I ever went offshore was Shark Trip, and my father took me to see Blue Water White Death when I was 7 years old. And, and I was into sharks from that day forward. I read every novel, every book that I could come across, every National Geographic that had a shark story in it. I was on it. I love sharks.
Well, then how come our level of retention seems to be so low?
I have no idea. It's just, you know.
So how are we going to catch them?
Well, in Florida, we're very lucky. We live in a warm water area. There's sharks all the way from Jacksonville to Pensacola and everywhere in between, all the way around the coast. You can stop and find a shark. The first shark fishing I did was under Pineda Causeway inshore. You know, we had a bunch of little sharks. I couldn't even tell you what they were, but we caught a lot of sharks back then in the 80s there. And it wasn't much left, actually, because of all the nets had taken the mullets and everything. But, you know, shark fishing has always been dear to my heart. And one thing about sharks, you know, you have to understand is they're very sensitive to stuff in the water, both electrical impulses and chemical trails like blood and stuff in the water. They're measured in parts per million, the stuff that they can identify and follow. And so whenever you're shark fishing, the first thing you want to do is you want to put out some stuff that's going to get them to come, which is usually bloody bonitas or barracuda really works really good.
That's my
A
favorite.
bunch of fish heads on a chain, anything that'll put out a lot of scent. And not oily stuff that'll float. You want stuff that'll disperse through the water column.
Right.
Because oil, all it does is float on the top of the water, and the shark ain't swimming on the top of the water. He's underneath of it. So you want stuff that'll disperse underneath. And once you do, you want to fish with them with some wire. Sharks have very sharp teeth.
Big, heavy rod?
Yeah, you can. It depends on what you're doing.
The depth.
Well, it depends on where you're fishing. Also, if you're fishing inshore under Pineda Causeway, this thing will catch every shark.
This Azor,
yeah, that
80
Azor,
be perfect, 65.
65S, and and a nice 7-foot rod. It'll catch every shark that you come across inshore.
Right,
now,
so
once you get offshore, you want to use a 30 wide minimum. If you're chasing big sharks, over 200 or 300 pounds, and you want to use a circle hook, because we want to let these things go in good condition, and a circle hook, does that. It finds its way into the corner of the mouth. And it doesn't hurt his internal organs. We don't want to gut hook these fish and then let them swim away to die later.
Right.
So so we want to keep the fight times to a minimum. Use as much drag as you can. Sharks aren't known. There's a couple of them, like the thresher shark and the mako, who put up a really good fight for you. But most sharks don't really fight that hard. We even catch great big tiger sharks in Australia. 1,000-pounders, we'll catch them in 5 minutes. Because we're using all the 90 pounds of drag, and they sharks just don't like the long drawn out fights. They just can't. They're muscular. Their muscles or whatever it is. They don't take long fights very well. They're not going to die on you, but they're just weak. They come straight to the boat pretty quick, especially a blue shark or one of those kind of sharks. But in Florida, they actually have 4 different groups because we hit them pretty hard commercially in the 80s when a lot of other fish went away. They opened up sharks commercially, and they got hammered pretty hard for a while. And but now we have 4 groups. One is prohibited, and group 1, there's no size limits, and those are for little sharks like Atlantic sharpnose, black tips, bonnet heads, and a shark called a fine tooth. I probably wouldn't even recognize it. And a lot of these sharks look very similar. So in group 9, the species, they have a 54-inch minimum.
Group 10. 9 species.
Group 2. I'm sorry. Yeah, they have 9 species, and there's bull, nurse, spinner, blues, oceanic white tips, poor beagles, short fin makos, and thresher sharks. Now, a lot of these sharks I wouldn't want you to ever keep, even though you can, like the oceanic white tip. That's not a shark you want to be eating, and it's and they're endangered. And a bull shark, there's nothing you're going to want to eat on a bull shark, nothing. And a nurse shark either. And then we get down to there's prohibited sharks like the angel sharks, tigers, whites, the scalloped hammerhead. You can tell him from the Caribbean reef sharks. But the key is to identify them. And go online, go to FWC. They have My Florida FWC. They have a lot of posters and a little things that you can go through and identify. Does he have this? Yes. Then you go here. If he has this, we can go down here. And you really want to make sure that you identify this species. It's hard with a lot of these little ones. They look a lot alike. So if you have any doubt about what it is, let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
And
don't put live sharks in the boat for any reason. Because they'll be wearing them. I see those pictures. These guys smiling with their shark. The next picture is the guy with the shark on his face.
You must have been talking to Mrs. Harvey because that's why we don't put makos in the boat. But we'll get to that a little later. All right, Bree.
See, Dave, you do know a lot about sharks. You shouldn't sell yourself short. All right, the Florida Keys is known for being able to catch just about every fish, and yes, that includes sharks. Captain Randy Tao, let's hear it.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. When we talk about sharks, we have sharks in the Atlantic, we have them in the Bay, we have them around the bridges. They are throughout the Keys, and they're really popular for people that want to catch a big fish, and especially on light tackle. Now, you can certainly go offshore to some of the deeper wrecks or the offshore humps, and you can catch some really big sharks if you're looking for a tiger or a dusky or something like that on the very large, heavy tackle side. But if you want to light tackle sharks, we have them in 3 to 4 feet of water where guys will go out there and they'll target certain species like lemon sharks, black tips, bull sharks, and even tigers, and they'll hang over a barracuda or a bonita, and they'll get a chum slit going, and they will attract these sharks to the boat, and you can catch them on light tackle. Now, some of the guys will use conventional. Some guys will even throw a fly rod, an orange-colored fly, at these sharks as they come up to the boat. And guys in Key West like Robert Trossett and Billy Delph, these guys really have dialed in the shark fishing down in their area for light tackle, and they've also hold quite a few world records on sharks and fly rods. Now up this way, Captain Pablo Rodriguez with Slam Time Charters at a Marathon, he does a lot of shark fishing as well. Not as much fly fishing, but light tackle and conventional stuff. And he sent me a picture of Mike Kohler and his son, Mike Kohler Jr., with a nice big lemon shark they caught in Florida Bay.
All right, great, Randy. All right, what else you got for us, bub?
Well, we'll talk about the tarpon again because they're on again, off again. These things are like a light switch this year. We have a good day, then we have a poor day. Conditions have been tough. A lot of overcast the last few days and a lot of rain, so it's made fly fishing difficult. And June is the month for the tarpon tournaments. All 3 big tarpon tournaments are in June, and a lot of fly fishing's going on right now, mainly on the ocean side, and these fish are migrating back up the coast. We had them coming down in late March and April going south. Now a lot of them are going back north, and guys are hitting them on the ocean side as they come by and having a little bit of success. Some guys get into them, and they have a few bites. Captain David Boris, yesterday, he hooked 6 and landed 2. He was literally inside of me, and we never had a bite. But that's fly fishing. Getting it in the right place is critical. There's some tarpon around the bridges right now as well. Early morning, late afternoon's been working the best, and live crabs and live pinfish are working really good. I've got a photo of young Connor Ross, lives in Tavernier. His dad is Captain Paul Ross on the charter boat Relentless out of Bud Mary's. This kid's up and coming, and he is spoiled rotten with fishing, loves it, and I've got a photo of a recent tarpon he caught on fly.
That's a great picture, Randy. All right, let's go offshore. You got any dolphin?
Well, you know, the dolphin, here again, in the last week they showed up. They started cooperating for everybody. It seemed like from 300 feet all the way out to 1,200 feet if you wanted to go that far. Now, some of these fish were smaller inshore, a lot of schoolies and a few gaffers, but as you got out into that deeper water, 600 and 800 feet, guys were finding some bigger fish in the 20 to 30-pound range, and most everything are on birds right now. So if you find the birds, there's a real good chance there's a set of dolphin there. Now, the problem is we've, again, had a lot of overcast and a lot of dark sky, so it's very hard to see these fish in the water when it's overcast, unlike the days where it's clear and sunny, and you'll see these dolphin up on the surface swimming, and you can get a good cast to them with a spinning rod and catch a nice one, like this photo I have of Rebecca Brito, who landed the biggest dolphin in the ladies' dolphin tournament, 45.6 pounds on a 39 container, Gus's Toy Box, the Hillbilly Deluxe crew with that winning fish right there.
Boy, I bet there was some celebrating going on out of the Hillbilly boys, man, that's for sure.
You know, mutton snappers, I love them. Everybody seems to get into them. If you're not dolphin fishing right now, you're on the reef, and talking to the guys said it's been pretty good. Live pilchards, live ballyhoos, long leaders. Very important to have a long leader, 30 to 40 feet on your live bait. They don't like to get close to a lead. I was talking to Captain Mike Towdy with Jenny Lynn Sport Fishing at a Marathon. He's been doing very well on his bottom fish down in that area, and he sent me a picture of Al Garcia with a nice mutton they caught.
Great pictures this week, Randy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys. Captain Randy says that inshore this weekend should be really good for bonefish. Look on the high tide for the cloudy water in 2 to 4 feet of water. That would be a bonefish mud. Stop the boat and then cast out a shrimp or a crab and then let it sit until you get a bite. Offshore, dolphin are starting to show up in 400 feet of water. Look for the birds. If you have a spinning rod rigged, and be ready to cast at the swimming dolphin.
That was such a nice dolphin.
I hope you catch one like that.
Me too.
Tomorrow.
You go, girl. You go, girl. All right, there's always tournaments going on in the Florida Keys, so let's take a look at what's coming up. This weekend's Ladies Let's Go Fishing Offshore Inshore Anyone Can Win tournament provides angling education and a fun competition in Islamorada. The Gold Cup Tarpon Tournament, scheduled for June 19th through the 23rd in Islamorada, benefits the Guides Trust Foundation. The University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame Celebrity Fishing Tournament offers the chance to fish with past Hurricanes football greats. The event is set for June 23rd and 24th in Islamorada. The Isla Morada Summer Classic is a family-formatted boat tournament series featuring 9 backcountry and oceanside species, scheduled for July 7th through the 9th. Trophies are awarded in weight and release categories, as well as private vessel and charter divisions. Man, Isla Morada's just got it going on.
They do.
And now on to Andy Newman to see what featured tournaments he's talking about this week. Go for it, Andy.
Well, hi guys. The Marathon Marlin Tournament is set for July 14th to the 16th. It's to be based at the Hyatt Place Ferro Blanco Resort and Yacht Club in the Middle Keys. The top scoring team is to be entitled to free entry in the Key West Marlin Tournament. That's scheduled for July 19th to the 22nd. And marathon teams are to compete for Marlin Division trophies, as well as funfish trophies for the 3 heaviest dolphin, wahoo, and tuna. More details on the Marathon Marlin Tournament are at keywestmarlin.com. And for information on all tournaments in the Florida Keys, go to flakeys.com.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, not only do we have the East and Southwest regions to explore next, we're going to be talking to our special guest, Dr. Guy Harvey, about shark tagging. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back on the Chevy Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
How about that?
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. The American Fishing Tackle Company, precision tackle and performance clothing since 1958. Best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply. Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
I think it's time to change my battery. Now you do it. Get AC Delco batteries at Bennett Auto Supply. Plus, get $10 off your first online purchase when you register at BennettAuto.com. Bennett Auto Supply. Do it yourself, but not alone.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
As close as you're going to get to a sure thing for catching billfish is Guatemala.
They're here, man. This has been a 20-year run, buddy. These things haven't left. There's no cycle.
When it comes to sail fishing, this is the real deal.
The amount of sailfish here is ridiculous.
Hi guys, it's great to be here. In the desert. At the mall. On the mountain. At school. At the beach. In the Big Easy. Yeah. Today I want to show you guys the next gen Chevy Equinox. What do you think? That's pretty. Pretty sexy.
It looks aggressive.
But not overbearing.
It's not too big, not too small. Seems like the perfect car for anybody. I would take it anyway.
She's a bad mamma jamma.
Current qualified GM lessees can get this introductory lease on the all-new 2018 Chevy Equinox for around $249 a month. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Well, welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, and my dear friend Guy Harvey is here. And Guy, you know, many years ago you took special interest in sharks. So why don't you talk about how we got to where we are today? Give me a little rundown.
That's true, Rick. We've been working with Nova Southeastern University and working on tiger sharks primarily in the Atlantic and the Caribbean. And more recently, we switched to mako sharks because they're a heavily fished shark, both by recreational and commercial fishermen.
So I guess the short fin mako is the shark that you decided to study and the one that's been going on for the last 6 years. So tell me how you decided where to start.
Well, that's true. And of course, you know, everybody kills mako sharks when they catch them because they're good to eat. And that's a problem. And so about 500,000 makos are killed every year in the Atlantic Ocean, which is a lot of animals.
That is a lot of animals.
So it causes a problem. And nothing was really known about their life history. So we started in 2 locations, one in the US, in the Middle Atlantic area, but most interestingly, down in Mexico, a warm water location where you wouldn't expect to find a number of mako sharks that we do.
So in Mexico, we went down there this past April, and just go through it. I mean, it was just so much fun.
It's a March-April event, really, and we fished with Anthony Mandillo, Keenem, and we built this sled onto which we could put the caught makos and operate on them, deploy the tags that we wanted to put on them in a safe manner. We used to bring them in the boat, but we found that wasn't the best thing for us or the shark to do. Also, with the cage that you saw deployed there, we can actually dive safely with these animals before we hook them.
Right.
So we're making best use of the animal, catching it and then filming it as well. And the combination really works if you're making the documentaries like we do. Here we're deploying a spot tag, a $2,000 tag on a mako shark's dorsal fin. Every time they come to the surface, that tag communicates with the satellite and says, "Here I am." Well, makos come to the surface a great deal, more than any other shark that we've studied. And so you can develop these fantastic tracks. Here's Jack Hanna, the guy from SeaWorld. SeaWorld, one of our biggest sponsors. They keep us sponsored with mako shark tags, and because they got the mako roller coaster as well at SeaWorld Orlando. Here's got Nolan, this young artist from Alabama, donated money to the foundation, so we called the shark after him. Very cool. The shark is doing well, not far off the west coast here. And coming up is another shark, Mackenzie, caught by a 13-year-old girl from the Carolinas.
Wow.
And that shark has gone up through the Straits of Florida, is hanging out now off Georgia, Florida, the Florida-Georgia line. Sounds like a song. And here's, a collective number of tracks all generated from the Yucatan. And you can see how much time those animals are spending in the Gulf of Mexico. We really didn't know what home bodies they would be.
Now I see that it seems like there's a central location there in the Gulf. What have you learned about that, Guy?
Well, about 100 miles north of the Yucatan Peninsula, there's an area we call essential habitat. This is where not only mako sharks, but we found white marlin and sailfish spend a lot of time there, as well as whale sharks. So it's probably providing very good feeding opportunities for all these animals. You did see a couple other tracks leaving the Gulf, some going up the mid-Atlantic area, a couple going all the way up to Canada. Well, they're on walkabout. And one shark, Tough Guy, did about 10,000 miles in less than a year.
Wow.
So they can get around when they want to. But in contrast, the other sharks we tagged in the middle Atlantic area have gone on really long walkabouts. They've gone across the Atlantic, they've gone down from Newfoundland down to Brazil on one straight track and back.
Wow.
But probably the most surprising thing is how many sharks get killed while they're out there. We got about a 25% mortality rate right now.
Wow. All right. So thank you for enlightening us on that. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people here in the studio as well as watching that are interested in more about this. So how can they find out? But more importantly, all of this is funded through the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation.
It takes cash to care, and I tell everybody that. And so you can participate. You know that we have the Guy Harvey license plates, a specialty license plate. You can buy one of those fantastic, beautifully colored dolphin plates and support the foundation that way. Or you can buy any Guy Harvey merchandise. And I've been doing this a long time, so thank you, all of you, for your past support. But going ahead, you can buy Guy Harvey merchandise and you're making a direct contribution to the foundation. But more importantly, we all need to be responsible fisher people.
Right.
And treat the resource with respect. And you can really help by educating yourself, by joining a local organization or a regional conservation organization like the CCA is a perfect example. And just becoming more responsible, taking action, and doing the right thing while you're on the water.
You know what? Every time you amaze me. Thank you so much.
A pleasure to be here.
All right, speaking of amazing, Bree.
Oh, well, he is amazing. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all that you do, Dr. Guy Harvey. Okay, sharks are definitely hanging around the East region, and Mike Holliday is here to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Bree, how are you?
Pretty good.
Well, let me tell you, if you like the shark fish, the East region has variety. They got size. They got big numbers, to the point that, they're becoming an issue for anglers that aren't even looking for sharks. Off Palm Beach County is a good example. Just run out to 100 feet of water, turn your engine off, and a bull shark, a dusky, or some kind of reef shark will show up in the first few minutes. In Martin County, places like the Shrimp Boat, Bull Shark Barge, and the Sand Pile, they're covered in big bull sharks, while Bathtub Beach and Peck's Lake have blacktip sharks in the surf. In St. Lucie County, the St. Lucie Power Plant has a good mix of blacktip and bull sharks, to no problem getting tight to a big fish. And there's even a good showing of hammerheads chasing the tarpon schools up there on the beach. For bait, you can't beat a whole chunk bonita, jack crevalle, a stingray, or a ladyfish or bluefish. Even barracudas will work. I like to use circle hooks, so depending on the size of the sharks you're chasing, you can use anything from a 6-0 to a 13-0 4X strong circle hook, or you can even go larger if you want. As always, you want wire or cable leader to keep the fish from breaking off. I got a photo there. That's David Tangier. He caught that big black-tip shark off of Bathtub Beach, and he was using a live mullet, 100-pound monofilament leader, and a 7-0 circle hook. So the sharks are all in there. The other thing we got going, coming off last week's full moon, the mutton snapper bite's been outstanding in 65 to 110 feet of water off Palm Beach County with some of the best action directly in front of the inlets. There's been a good numbers of fish taken at the Loran Tower, the 6 Mile Reef, and even around the sand pile of St. Lucie Inlet. That's mostly at night. You can make a long drift down the reef off Jupiter, but the boats that are doing best are those that are anchoring above the structure and chumming. And the current's been running hard, so you want to bring along some extra weight to make sure you can get down to the bottom and hold down there. You want to use a 40 to 60 foot, 60-pound fluorocarbon leader so the bait kind of swings away from the weight, and along with the current, you swings a big wide arc. For bait, sardines, cigar minnows, and grunt plugs or tops, pilchards, even a half a thread fin will work. Average mutton snapper is going to be 4 to 12 pounds. And I got a photo there. That's Paul Edinger with a big mutton snapper he caught in 75 feet of water on a grunt plug. He was fishing with Captain Glenn Cameron on the Floridian charter boat.
All right, let's go inshore there, Hollywood.
Well, it's prime time for tarpon on the beaches and also around the inlets. Those fish are pushing out of the Keys and up the coast. Get an early start. Look for floating fish. Then slide in, toss them a live crab, a threadfin, a pilchard, or a sardine, or even like a black and purple puglisi fly. You'll do really well on those fish. Another good dawn bite is at Big Mud Creek. Throw in saltwater assassin 4-inch shads with a 1/4-ounce jig head in the Houdini color. You throw those at the rolling fish, and then by mid-morning you want to run the beaches looking for schools of moving fish, migrating fish. Get in front of the schools, put your baits out, let the fish swim up to the bait. Some of the best tarpon fishing is happening after dark in the inlets, where you can float a mullet or a pilchard out with the tide. The inlet fish are all sizes, 20 to 120 pounds. So, match your tackle to the size of your bait. Use a 60 to 80 pound fluorocarbon leader and a 6-0 VMC circle hook. The other thing we got going inshore, we're finally starting to see the larger snook move into the inlets and onto the beaches. So if you like to catch and release snook fishing, it's time to grab a rod, head to places like the Lake Worth and Juno Beach Piers, Jupiter Inlet, St. Lucie Inlet, Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, and the South Jetty and South Beach in Fort Pierce. There's been a good push of juvenile baits at the inlets, so the fish are feeding in real tight to shore. You can drift the inlets on the outgoing tide and throw, a 4-inch saltwater assassin swim bait in that copper juice or Papa Smurf colors, or you can work a topwater plug in close to the rocks of the jetty. Best action is going to come on live thread fins, croakers, or sardines on a 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, 4-0 VMC tournament circle hook. And, whenever possible, season's closed. So, remove the hook while the fish is still in the water. Get a picture of the release. Average snook's going to be 6 to 16 pounds.
All right, Hollywood, we got to talk about bass fishing. How's all this fresh water affected it?
Man, the rains are helping it a ton. The bluegill are bedding on Lake Okeechobee, so if you're looking for big bass, you want to fish near those spawning beds. And with all the rain we've had, some of the areas that have been inaccessible for the last couple of months, they're now fishable. You can finally get access to them as the water levels rise. And that's where you're going to find the bluegill beds. A lot of them are the size of a truck. Some are the size of a small swimming pool. They're not as big as you think. You can fish them with swim baits like a Bass Assassin Dye Dapper in that pumpkin seed, chartreuse belly color, or a topwater plug with a chartreuse tail, or a worm, purple worm with a chartreuse tail. Anything with a chartreuse tail. If you spook some fish out of the area, let it rest, come back later and catch a couple more. They tend to come right back after about an hour. This is also a good time to look for moving water around areas like the pump stations, the canals, and the channel edges of Lake Okeechobee, where the water is cooler and the fish are staged up. In those areas, you want to kind of fish a white spinnerbait or a June bug-colored worm. There's going to be mostly schooling fish. You can fish shiners around the water tower or some of the deeper holes around Pelican Island on Lake Okeechobee, and be off the water by 10 a.m. with 20 to 40 fish right now. So Okeechobee has both size and numbers going on. If you get out early, rains are coming early, so be off the water by 10 a.m.
All right, thank you so much, Hollywood. We'll talk to you next week. Sounds like cheeseburger time after bass fishing. Let's take a look at the hot spots from the East region. Mike says inshore, you need to go permit. They're on the rocks tight to the beach from Jupiter Inlet to Blowing Rocks. Use live crabs on a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. And then offshore, dolphin, blackfin tuna, sailfish in 180 to 240 feet of water from the Juneau Pier to Sloan's Curve. Drift with pilchards and sardines.
Okay, now moving on to the Bell's Southwest region. Captain Ronnie Houston has all the tips for a wonderful Father's Day fishing weekend. Hey, Ronnie.
Well, just want to wish a happy Father's Day to all them fathers out there, especially mine. Another tip I want to also give you is weather's been tough all week, another second week of rain. Before you head out, watch the windows for opportunity on the radar before you end up getting out. That seems to be the best times to get out and go fishing. But sharks can be caught both inshore and offshore throughout the region. Now, I'm going to give you a couple basic patterns you can work. For the offshore side, you want to concentrate on fishing wrecks, artificial reefs, and depending upon what time of year, sharks are generally following big groups of migrating fish coming and going both north and south. Now, the easiest place to start would be the wrecks by using large live baits or just about any cut bait, large, or even butterflies. Now, if you don't have access to a boat, beaches and passes by simply walking using live mullet or ladyfish or simply cutting one of those up, posting up on the beach. This is a very popular thing guys do for big sharks, especially at night. And then also you want to concentrate on sight fishing. You can fish these fish at low water. I can tell you right now, from Goodland all the way down to the Everglades to the outer Gulf Islands, middle bays have plenty of sharks all through the year. You can simply troll a motor on the outer edges or push pole. Once you see one of these sharks, you can just simply sight cast these fish using just about anything, and these sharks will generally eat. Species, though, are normally black tips, bonnet heads, bulls, occasional hammerheads and lemons, nurses, and occasional tigers. Whichever method you decide to use, there's nothing like a good large cut bait to get things started for these sharks. So there's three basic patterns all the way around. Now, on the offshore side, you want to concentrate on the cobias. Stump past to Fort Myers Beach, fishing wrecks and depths right now of 55 to 75 feet of water. Now, some of these areas right now have fish grouped up, while some of these areas only have them scattered. Anchor near the structure and chum to draw to the fish to the top, or drop down live finfish or herring. You can also fan cast above with bright-colored chugging lures to attract the cobia. Now, reports I've gotten in the last couple of days in the windows, the slack part of the tide has been the best time to catch these fish. So what you want to do is map out a couple spots. If you strictly plan the cobia fish, give each one a little bit of time, but while doing this in the process, chum, and there's plenty of mangrove snapper in the mix while fishing some of these offshore wrecks.
All right, Ronnie, before we go inshore, we're going to take a look at the Navionics from your region. Now, guys, one of the things that Navionics is really practicing is to help you become safer boaters. Now, check this out. This is typical of what a lot of the charts look like over in Marco on your paper charts, as well as the chart that's loaded into your Hummingbird or your unit. The key is that you need to understand that what happens is it doesn't show some of the stuff that's really there, sandbars and whatnot. By taking a look at the next chart, as you can see, we can start to get a little bit more details through the Navionics. But more importantly, by looking at the next chart, you get all the satellite overlays. Now you can actually see where the sandbars are, as well as you can see the anchoring areas. And by looking at this last chart, what it shows me, by turning on the sonar charts or the fishing chip on your plotter, what you'll see is now all the different contours and where it gets shallow, all the places where you're able to anchor. So remember that. Navionics wants you to be able to boat a lot safer, and make sure that you turn on your sonar charts inside the menu of your plotter, and it'll help you get that done. All right, Ronnie, what do we got inshore?
Well, the snook, like I said, with all the rain, we're talking about the snook. With the abundance and rainwater levels have risen throughout the region and most canals and lakes, fish areas of water flow like spillways, culverts, and swell runoff. Moving water is going to be very important. You'll be also surprised at all the areas that you drive by, they're simply holding fish, whether in numbers or scattered. Small prop baits, topwater plugs, lip plugs that go from 1 to 4 foot in depth, and 3 to 5 inch swim baits will produce snook, bass, and small tarpon. The colors of the baits are white, chartreuse, black and gold and orange. Again, around the water flow is important, and I've got a picture of a snook that was caught down in the 10,000 Island. 30-pound plus snook. It was caught on a 7-weight fly by Maverick Pro Staff, William Faulkner. Fish was averaged about 45 inches. That's a nice fish caught down in the Southwest region.
That hadn't been called a snook in a long time. They call that a mogan, according to Blair, right?
Tarpon, northern end of the region, Sanibel Stump Pass. After all the storms, tarpon have pushed well offshore, but with the weather, the fish are starting to move back towards the beaches. Passes and bridge spans out to about 20 foot in depth. As the storms pick up, they seem to move out towards the wrecks. Look for free jumping or rolling fish and get ahead of them. Try to let them come close to you. Live crabs, herring, also, like I said, around the bridges, 4 to 6 inch swim baits. And I've got 2 pictures, one with Captain Matt Haig on a release, and another picture by Captain Matt Haig with a tarpon in the air. And like I say, be grateful for your dad, show him how much you love him, and take him fishing.
All right, great advice, Ronnie. We appreciate you very much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Southwest region. Inshore, red groupers, Gordon's Pass to Sanibel, 65 to 85 feet of water, fishing hard bottom and ledges using live pinfish and cut baits. And then offshore, redfish, Bird Key to Lumber Key on the higher stages along the mangroves using live pilchards or cut mullet and ladyfish for those reds.
He chose not to hear you. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
The Central East region is calling in next, and then we're headed, I do that all the time. Then we're headed to the CCA Workbench for Dave Farrell for some great last-minute Father's Day gift ideas, right, Dave?
That's right. My dad would like any of this stuff, because he's never really got much good stuff for me.
Oh, Dave. All right, guys,
Sorry, Dad.
we'll be right back.
Dave's a fishing hoarder.
I am a hoarder.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Navionics, we start where the road ends. Soft Science, supreme comfort footwear. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. Real legends, exclusively at Bell's. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 offshore 4-strokes. For those that like their V6 lighter, faster, and stronger. Setting new standards for power, efficiency, speed, and lightweight. Built for the rigors of offshore boating. Packed with Yamaha's legendary reliability. And now Yamaha's 4.2-liter V6 4-strokes offer a choice between digital or mechanical controls to match your rigging preference. Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
Hey, how do you like your contender? How do I like my contender? What's not to like? Dude, I just saw a contender, and man, I gotta give me one.
So guys, let's talk a little bit about the Starbright Ultimate Vinyl Clean. This stuff has been formulated to be the toughest grease buster, but it won't harm your vinyl, your fiberglass, or your plastic. Now the Vinyl Clean contains no caustic acids or bleach that can damage your vinyl, and it also helps restore older vinyl by deep cleaning it. It's a two-step process. The first step would be to use the vinyl clean, followed by the vinyl guard, and these products can be used as often as needed to keep your vinyl looking great. Now, if you've got some stains on your boat from fishing in the backcountry, in the tannic water, you can use the Starbright Instant Hull Cleaner. It's a gel, and I apply it using a scuff eraser. I just simply wipe it on, leave it on for about 5 minutes, wash it with soap and water, and it'll get that yellowing stain off of my hull. Now, sometimes I find rust spots from where I might have had a chip of metal or maybe some areas around a cleat where the stainless isn't as high a grade as it should be. And guess what? I can get those rust stains off by simply spraying this in and around there. Use the scuff eraser, leave it on for 15 minutes, and it'll be like brand new. Now, non-skid can be a problem both inshore and offshore. In our non-skid, in the deep cleaner for the deck, this really works well getting that grit and grime out of the non-skid. So Starbright makes a lot of great cleaning products. Go down to your local retailer and check it out.
Better be lucky than good.
Yeah, here we are at the CCA workbench talking about new products, so let's get right on
Well,
it.
we're going to start off with this beautiful Guy Harvey 4th of July shirt. You know, it's part of his, he's gone now. He didn't, I'm not getting any credit for it now, but it's Independence Day collection. Good Lord. Guy Harvey sailfish with a patriotic coat of arms. It comes in long sleeve, short sleeve, kids and men's, women's, and it's only available until June 18th. Right. And you have to go online, order it at guyharvey.com, and use the promo code USA, and you get 20% extra off.
USA gets you 20% off. Obviously, he don't know Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. Soft Science. We got these are the new skiffs. It's called the Skiff 2.0, and they have the Trilon cushioning. They're not as fat as the first ones that came out, and so you're not feeling like you're moonwalking. But they really didn't need to have all that padding, because even that little bit, this stuff is really great, and it makes you feel good. It has an arch in it, and solid color at the top, soft toe post. You know, really slip resistant, and it won't mark stuff up. And they also come with this. This is the waterfall palm.
The palm.
The waterfall palm
This
is what
the
it
one
is.
I wear.
Yeah, that's very
And
nice.
you know why I like wearing these? Because in both cases, they don't mark up the deck.
Correct.
And they give me a really cool racing stripe in my tan line.
Yes, they do.
I just say it.
You probably haven't touched your feet in 20 years, have you?
Neither has anybody else. Just say it.
See, that's not true.
Okay.
Anyway, Rapala X-Wrap Twitching Mullet. This is the Twitching Mullet, and
my favorite.
you know, if a fish is going to eat a mullet, he's dang sure going to eat those things, boy. Yeah. They come in like, I don't know.
Let me just tell you.
12 colors.
I spent 3.5 years designing this thing.
Oh,
okay,
3D eyes.
Single hooks for conservation.
Yeah, lets those trout off easy.
And more importantly, you don't have to worry about when you go to grab that snook. Dave.
VMC single hooks.
Walks the dog under the surface.
Subsurface.
Yeah, you can work the rod tip up, create your own little V-wake similar to what a mullet does. It's an awesome lure, guys. I hope that you try it. You won't be disappointed. That's
Twitching mullet.
Twitching mullet.
Our last one here is some Aft Coast Sirius LS tech shirt. This is a long sleeve tech shirt. And this one came out of the dryer. As a matter of fact, I wore this last night to do another thing. And, you know, my wife loves me, but she doesn't love me enough to iron stuff for me. She ain't, I'm not getting anything ironed. So these AFCO shirts are really great. They got this vertical venting on the back. They got dual front pockets. It's a microfiber lens cleaner under here, you know, for your sunglasses on the edge.
How cool is that?
You know, you're always doing that anyway. But now you've got a little microfiber thing on there to do it for you. Comes in like 4 or 5 different colors. I've been wearing them on the show every night. They make me look fantastic.
Yes, they do.
If you didn't notice.
They did notice.
But really good stuff from AFCO. And I always love the double pockets too up in the front, because you know you always have stuff to put in there, and they got a button inside there that
and the
locks
reason
them
why
down.
I like that is because at 60 miles an hour, this stuff will beat the tar out of it, you know?
Nothing's flapping around.
You can dress them up by leaving it long, dress it.
And they're very cool.
Dress it down
they're
by
very
rolling
cool.
up the sleeves.
Yeah, you can go outside, you know, and go fishing in these things. And they look nice. They look really nice.
They're very, very...
A little makeup on that one.
They're on fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The wife's going to be looking at that. Where's makeup?
Yeah, have her call me. I got your back.
I know. Sure.
All right, speaking of my back, Bree's got my back. So, Bree.
I got your back. Okay, lots of shark stories are always coming out of the Central East region, and Captain Jim Ross has just the trick to get them hooked. Hey, Jim.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Really good. Just talking about shirts forever over here. I've never seen two guys talk more about
you
shirts.
You know what? There's some cool ones out there.
Yes, there are.
If you want to find some more cool ones, go to Bell's because they got some really cool ones, but they're real legend series. But you know, talking about legends, we got some legends of shark fishing here in the Central East region. Most of our charter boat captains out here have really taken sharks and put them in the forefront or the limelight of some of our fishing out here. We have got plenty of them. All you have to do is just get outside of any of our inlets, and you can have, you know, any number of types of sharks. We hit a lot of black tips. We get some bulls. We get black nose, fine tooth, nurse, spinners, sharp nose. All of those come on a regular basis with cut rigs, cut bait rigs on a standard, you know, on the bottom. You know, anytime that you add a piece of 60 to 90 pound or single wire or 90 to 270 pound multi-strand wire, you're going to prevent those sharks from biting you off. But we still get quite a few of them while we're tarpon fishing on the mono and the circle hooks. Most of our sharks are less than 6 feet in length, though, so you don't have to run a real long leader, except for hammerheads. They tend to run up around that 8 to 10 foot range. And June and July are two of our best months for catching sharks. So right now is really a good time to get out there and do this. Species 2 we have is dolphin this week. Once again, the dolphin catches are fairly decent. You have to get either in the 50 to 90 foot depths or run way deep to get them, though. There's not a whole lot of fish holding in between. So when I mean way deep, I mean 250 foot or better. And you want to find areas that have good concentrations of flying fish or other types of bait fish. If you can find a weed line, a rip, a temperature break, those are always good as well. Some of those fish that are inside, those guys are, you know, 50 to 90 feet of water. The guys that are kingfishing are actually catching the dolphin with their live bait rigs. So, you know, don't be surprised if you don't have a dolphin, or if you do have a dolphin come and intercept one of those, and, you know, they'll add a little bit of color to your fish box. Now, recently we had a good report out of Ponce Inlet. This is a 52.7 pound bull that I have a picture of here.
What? Come on, man. Oh, 3 chicks holding it too. What? Come on, how you do that?
That's how they roll up in Ponce Inlet. You know, they dragging ballyhoo, and this one was caught by Blake, Ashley, Bob, Tiffany, Addie, and Randy.
It took 3 of them to catch it?
Well, I think there was, you know, such pretty women. You got to put at least 3 of them in a photo with a fish that big.
Man, that's awesome. What a great catch. Congratulations, girls. All right, let's go inshore.
Well, the tarpon have been fairly decent along the beaches, in the canals, the residential canals, and around, you know, all of our feeder creeks, because we've had so much rain lately. There's a lot of water flowing, a lot of runoff into the lagoon, and the storm water has, you know, bringing those juvenile bait fish, those pilchers, those glass minnows out, and the baby tarpon are feeding on them. There's a lot of small speckled trout in those areas as well, and the baby tarpon are feeding on the baby speckled trout, too. So if you have a little speckled trout topwater Rapala lure like a Rapala skitterwalk, that color pattern seems to be working very well for the baby tarpon right now. Now, most of our baby tarpon are running 3 to 12 pounds. Some of them are pushing that 30-pound mark, and you will find the fish going 50 or 60 at times. Now, our last species is flounder, and this is a species that we don't normally get a whole lot of in the summertime. But for some reason, we're getting quite a few of them around our inlets, once again, especially the Canaveral area. And you want to drop some live bait fish, you know, small menhaden, small pilchers, small croakers. Strips of these types of baits can also work on a jig head. Drop them down to the bottom, bounce them real close to the bottom, or keep your leaders short so that the live baits stay close to the bottom, and you should have a good chance of catching some of these Central East flounder that are running up to about 3 pounds at this time. I want to wish all of the fathers out there a happy Father's Day, and hopefully any of you kids watching the show, take your dad fishing this coming weekend.
All right, thank you so much, Jimmy. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Central East hotspots. The sea sucker hotspots are inshore. We're going to go with sharks along the beaches, use large chunk baits on a wire rig, and then offshore mangrove snappers on the reefs and wrecks in 80 to 120 foot depths. Use cut baits like squids or sardines floated back in your chum slick. Now, speaking of slick, Bree, is this not slick?
So slick, and we haven't even talked about it. We had a truck in here for the first couple weeks, now we have this.
I think we need to take it for a ride after the show.
Oh, put her there. Oh yeah, who wants to come? Who wants to come?
You drive.
hands, they want to come with us. Okay, speaking of coming with us, starting June 18th, you can sign up to win the Bells Fishing Trip Contest with Captain Rick and myself for a half day of fishing, as well as a 2-night stay at the Islander Resort, a Guy Harvey outpost in Isla Mirada. To enter, visit your local Bells store or online at facebook.com/BellsFlorida.
So you get to stay at the Guy Harvey outpost in Isla Mirada. You remember last year we took that dude, we ran 50 miles back in the Everglades at 10:30.
Yep.
He was wore out. He said, I don't want to catch another one. Now we were back having
snook and
cheeseburgers at 12
redfish.
o'clock.
We had so much fun. So make sure you enter so you can win to fish with us.
That's right.
All right, if you're in the northern Florida area, we're headed to you next to the northeast and northwest regions, talking all about sharks and more. So keep your lines in the water. We'll be right back on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing
Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Yeti, built for the wild. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 30 years. Strike Zone Fishing, your fish hunt paddle store. And Guy Harvey, marine wildlife artist and conservationist.
Every truck guy has their own way of conveying powerful.
Yeah, boy. Kind of looks like a monster coming to eat you. Holy smokes.
That is awesome. Strong.
You got the basic and you got the beefy.
I just think it looks mean.
Incredible.
No way. I'm getting goosebumps.
Get 17% below MSRP on all Silverado 1500 LT pickups in stock. That's over $8,100 on this Chevy Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Flagler Construction Equipment is your certified Takeuchi equipment dealer, servicing 55 counties in Florida. With Takeuchi, you get brute strength combined with bulletproof durability. That means low downtime and optimal production. Flagler Construction Equipment is the partner for all your Takeuchi sales, service, and rental needs, and your first and last stop for legendary customer service and support. Pros know Takeuchi. Get to know Flagler Construction Equipment by stopping by one of our 6 locations or visit us on the web at www.flaglertakeuchi.com.
Welcome back. We always love to see this guy's face from the Northeast Strike Zone region, whether it's in the studio or on FaceTime. And
speaking of the face, there's
Tommy
the
Derringer.
face.
What's happening, guys?
Tommy, I'm digging the old trucker Yeti hat, man. Red, white, and blue, getting ready for the 4th of July.
AKA my birthday.
Yeah, hey, you know what I really like about it? I have such a giant head, it fits my head, so that's the most important part.
That's from all that brains, all that fishing knowledge you got packed in there.
That's right.
All right, so why don't you tell us about the Strike Zone Northeast region? What's going down?
Well, you know, guys, we picked a great week to talk about shark fishing in the Strike Zone Northeast region. And we've got a ton of bait around right now, especially on the beach. And you know what? When there's a bunch of bait on the beach, those sharks are going to be fired up. Now, there's a ton of different ways to catch sharks in my region. And right now, they're thick on those pokey pods right along the beach. You can target those big sharks in those pokey pods by simply netting some of those pogies and either use them alive right around the bait pods, or you can even make your own chum slick by just cutting them up. Now, if you do get them chummed up, you can sight fish them off the surface, which is a lot of fun, and pick which shark you want to catch. Now, one of the more popular ways to catch a shark, and big ones at that, is to get behind one of the many shrimp boats we have that are working along the coast. Now, when those shrimpers toss their bycatch overboard, it's an all-out feeding frenzy, and you can sight fish those sharks as well. You're gonna find all kinds of different species of sharks behind those shrimp boats. Some of my favorites, the spinner sharks, they put on a crazy spinning aerial display when you hook into those guys. And you don't have to wait until the shrimpers toss their bycatch either. You can just bring some live or dead bait with you and drift it back behind the shrimp boats, and you're probably gonna hook up. Now, we also have some really giant bonnet head sharks inshore right now, and those can be a lot of fun on light tackle. Now, I like to call them the Northeast Florida bonefish because they make some crazy drag screaming runs. Now, those bonnet head sharks, they're primarily crustacean eaters, so a half blue crab is gonna work really good for those guys. No matter what type of shark you're targeting, as you probably know, you're gonna wanna beef up your leader a bit. In some cases, maybe go to a wire leader, although we land quite a few on some heavy mono. Now, I got a picture here. This is Craig Mazur with one of those big bonnet heads I was talking about he caught with me. And let me tell you, that thing ripped some serious drag on the redfish setup that he was using.
Oh, I bet. All right, what else you got for us this week, bud?
Well, the nearshore kingfish bite's still pretty good right now. I've talked to quite a few captains this week who are easily limiting out on the small to medium-sized kingfish in pretty short order. Now, any of the reefs and wrecks within 10 miles are gonna be holding some kingfish right now. You can just net some pogies along the beach, take them out, slow troll them around those structures. Now, some days, getting the bait down, use your downrigger, it's gonna produce more fish, but up top's been working as well. There's also some bigger kingfish in close around the bait pods in the south end of the region down near Flagler, although they've been a little hit or miss. I got another picture here. This is my man, 4-year-old Milo Gibiazda, with a nice kingfish he caught over a nearshore reef this week with his dad, Captain Gibb from the Angry Seas.
Tommy, when I had hair, it never looked like that, I want you to know.
When he had hair, that's exactly what Rick looked like.
Awesome, let's go inshore, bud.
The flounder bite's really turned on this week, and some bigger fish are starting to show up as well. The docks around downtown St. Augustine are holding quite a few fish, as well as the creeks that are close to town. The best bite's been when the tide slows down on either high or low tide, and the usual mud minnow or finger mullet on a jig or fish finder rig with enough weight to get the bait to the bottom and hold it. That's gonna be the ticket. Something I always remind my clients to do when fishing for those flounder is make sure you let him eat the bait for a little bit before you set the hook. He's not gonna let it go, but if you set it too soon, he's probably only gonna have the tail of the bait and he's gonna spit it halfway in. Now, I got another photo. This is Harriet Durham with her doormat flounder. That's her personal best at 8 pounds. Big fish.
That's my personal best.
Man,
that's
a good
awesome.
one.
All right, let's talk about some redfish, bub.
Yeah, we've got a perfect early morning low tide this weekend to find some tailing or backing redfish. I spoke with Captain Buzz Brannon from NortheastFloridaAngling.com, and he says he's finding redfish up in the super skinny stuff on the low tide up in the Hannah Mills area in Jacksonville. He's tossing a small soft plastic shrimp or a live mud minnow on a jig head to those backing fish. You can find those fish by poling, or you can just ease along using the trolling motor in the back of any of the creeks throughout the region. The quieter you approach them, the better chance you're gonna have of getting a shot, which I'm sure you know. Now, Buzz is also catching some big bull redfish in the St. Johns River near Mill Cove on the slack tides. He's using cup mullet or ladyfish on the bottom in about 8 to 10 feet of water. Those big redfish are anywhere from 10 to 30 pounds, even some bigger ones, some big dogs.
Yeah, speaking of big dog, you get the Big Dog Award tonight. Great report. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from your region. Thank you so much, Tommy. Inshore, flounder on the docks around St. Augustine Inlet, finger mullet or mud minnows on a 1/4 to a 1/2 ounce jig head, depending on the current. And then offshore, kingfish on the nearshore wrecks and reefs, slow troll live pogies on the top or down deep on a downrigger, Bree.
Man, the size of the fish that are on this show this week are just insane. We need to
it's
have
that time
a
of
camera
year.
on our face when we see the photos. Literally, our jaws drop. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They've been great. Okay, the Flagler Construction Equipment Northwest region is always talking about the man in the gray suit. So, Captain Hageman, it's y'all's time to shine.
We've got plenty of sharks right now, from inshore to offshore, throughout my entire region. We got bonnet heads, like he was just talking about, black tips, large and small bull sharks, great hammerheads inshore. Offshore, we've got sharp-nosed, black tips, spinner sharks, and makos. One thing you want to do, and this has been talked about a lot when targeting sharks, you want to match your tackle to the quarry you're going after. What I mean by that is you don't want to use what you're using for a little black tip shark, what you're going to try and catch a great hammerhead with. Wire leaders are a must. Excuse me. A lot of chum, oil, blood, anything like that's going to help them bring the fish in closer to your baits. As far as baits go, the oilier the better. Fresh baits work better than frozen. Bonita are real popular.
Stingrays are another popular bait for bull sharks and hammerheads. As the smaller sharks go, mullet, ladyfish will work for those smaller sharks, and crustaceans for the bonnetheads, like he was just talking about. We got a lot of pass crabs coming out right now, and those bonnethead sharks are around the passes and around the creek mouths waiting for those pass crabs to come out, and they're eating them as well as shrimp. I got some photos here, and you guys were just talking about some photos saying, wow. When I think of shark, there's one guy that comes to mind. He's not from my region, but I got some great photos of Captain Bo Johnson with some sharks that are quite impressive. First one there is him in the water, holding a big old bull shark. I know Rick's twinging right now.
A little bit, just a little.
Bobo the clown, man, he's gonna end up being all dismembered one of these days, and I'll come
wait
over
for the
and
next one.
feed him soup.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right, so anyway, what else you got?
You got that other photo with him holding it next to the other
Yeah,
photo?
we got it.
Right by his face,
All
perfect.
Offshore, Captain JB at JB Charters out of Apalachicola Bay reports right now that the red snapper is still on fire in state waters. He's using chum bags or chumming with live pogies to bring these guys up to the surface. He's had real good luck drifting pogies back in the chum. He's using 30-pound fluorocarbon Suffolk leader, about 2 feet long, with a 2/0 circle hook. And the depth range right now for those fish are anywhere from 55 to 65 feet. And I got a photo of a nice limited snapper with JB's clients on a recent charter.
Nice. All right, let's go inshore, bub.
I got Captain Mario Costello. I was talking to him out of Plantation on Crystal River. He's reporting a good redfish bite right now along the outside islands and keys between Homosassa and Crystal River. About midway through the incoming tide, he's especially looking for large schools of mullet to locate these fish. Once you find those mullet schools, he's using a freeline pinfish or a cut mullet on a 3/0 BMC circle hook. And right now, the redfish are running anywhere from about 25 to 30 inches. And I also got a report from Captain Jimbo Keith of Saltwater Assassin Fishing Charters. He's out of Cedar Key, just a little bit up in my region, past that. And he said the redfish bite has also been good on that shoreline around the outer islands and cut. He's using cut mullet on the bottom, just about like Mario is. On the turn of the time, seems to work the best.
All right, what else you got for me this week, bub?
I got Captain Billy Davis of Slam Chasher Charters. He's reporting a good snook bite right now on the beaches and passes around Anclote and Honeymoon. Live greenbacks, pinfish on a 2/0 VMC circle hook attached to 30-pound Suffolk fluorocarbon leader. He's drifting those on the incoming and outgoing tides. Now, right now, we got these big moons that are happening, and we're coming up on another one here pretty soon. And those outgoing tides in the evening are going to be outstanding for these big snook. All the big snook are in the passes, getting ready to spawn. Anclote, Honeymoon, Clearwater, anywhere you've got any kind of water current that's pushing around a break is going to have some big fish in it. And I got a photo of Bobby, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Rondo and his son Carlson with a great tarpon spring snook.
Yep, that is a great picture. Thank you for sending in all the pics this week, Hag. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Northwest region. Inshore, snook along the beaches and passes on the outgoing tide. Use pigfish and pinfish for bait. And then offshore, permit on the artificial reefs and wrecks in 35 to 75 feet of water. Dollar-sized crabs or tail-hook shrimp free-lined or with a small split shot.
Been seeing a lot of kids with their dads in these photos tonight.
Guess
Hopefully
what?
we'll see a lot more next week.
Absolutely, you will.
Okay, we have one more region to dissect before you start rigging up for Father's Day weekend, and that is the Southeast region. So don't move a muscle. We will be right back. Oh, we turned the corner.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. The IGFA, conservation through education. Get your hands wet. Flagler Construction Equipment, your exclusive Takeuchi dealer. And Okuma, inspired fishing. When you're moving a big offshore boat, it's all about thrust and trust. For thrust, nothing compares to the Yamaha purpose-built 5.3-liter V8 Power Pioneer. And for trust, Yamaha's new F350C model becomes the only outboard in its horsepower class to feature a 5-year limited warranty. Never settle for less than complete confidence and control in the open water. That's Yamaha V8 Power. Get the best and forget the rest.
Inside you, there's an outside you. A you that takes the road less traveled than the road less traveled, and finds the comforts of home extremely uncomfortable. This is for that you.
Remember the glory days of gasoline? It's just not made the same anymore.
Kick your gas into gear with StarTron. Pump up the performance in all of your engines. Cure the problems of ethanol with the power of enzymes. And maximize your mileage every time you drive. Kickstart your engines with StarTron.
Hi guys, it's great to be here in the desert, at the mall, on the mountain, at school, at the beach, in the Big Easy. Yeah. Today I want to show you guys the next gen Chevy Equinox. What do you think?
That's pretty.
Pretty sexy,
It looks aggressive.
but not overbearing.
It's not too big, not too small. Seems like the perfect car for anybody. I would take it anyway.
She's a bad mamma jamma.
Current qualified GM lessees can get this introductory lease on the all-new 2018 Chevy Equinox for around $249 a month. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Hi, I'm Robert Shamel with JL Marine Systems with your Power Pole Tip of the Day. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Green Marine 100% biodegradable hydraulic fluid. Now, the last thing you want when you're out fishing in your favorite fishing spot is to have a toxic fluid spill, which kills plant life and fish. So Power Pole since 2008 has included Green Marine 100% biodegradable hydraulic fluid in every single hydraulic unit that we sell. It's one of the easiest things that you can do to make a positive impact on our environment by using ISO 32 hydraulic fluid in other systems like trim tabs, jack plates, or hatch lifters. Which leads me into our next tip, which is going to be all about our electric anchor, the Micro. And that's your Power Pole Tip of the Day.
Okay, Jimbo Thomas in the Casa Vieja Southeast region has just the tips you're going to need out on the water this weekend. So Jimbo, let's hear it.
You got it. Well, you know, it seems like there's been a lot more sharks around than usual, especially these bull sharks in the bays. And I dive a lot, and I don't like to see them, but they are there. But if I was going to do some inshore shark fishing, I'd get anchored up along the edge of a channel and hang a piece of bonita or barracuda, a big slab of it, off the back of the boat for chum. Then drift the slab of bait back in the current on a 20 to 30 pound outfit. Use a 4 to 5 foot piece of wire leader and a circle hook. Now, a great place to do this is in the Finger Channel south of Key Biscayne. And the nice thing about that area is you can do it in just about any kind of weather. Now, the main sharks that you're going to see inshore are going to be bulls, lemons, and black tips. But it's not uncommon for a big hammerhead or even a tiger shark to be showing up in that shallow water. Now, if you're going offshore, bonita and barracuda are also the bait of choice. You want to fish anywhere from 100 feet on out to 400 feet or more and put a weighted bait on or near the bottom. Also drift baits on the surface or even put them under the kite, a slab of bait under the kite on 30 to 50 pound tackle, and definitely use that wire leader and a circle hook. Then there's also a group of fishermen that shark fish off the beaches at night, and they paddle their baits offshore out on a surfboard, but you can have that. Then the most common shark offshore would be hammerheads, bulls, and lemons, but you never know what is going to swim by. And I really don't fish for sharks too much. I've caught a lot of them. We've caught pretty much every kind of shark there is over the years, except for a great white. And there's a few of those seen every year, though. Now, but nowadays you can hardly keep any sharks with all these new rules and regulations, but we hardly keep them anyways. Now, staying inshore, still plenty of tarpon in the 50 to 80 pound range, and those tarpon are looking to eat live crabs and mullet in the inlets and also around the bridges of the ICW. You want to drift the live baits in the mouths of the inlets on both the incoming and outgoing tides in the early mornings and evenings, and then around the bridges and docks, fish the shadow lines on the outgoing tides with live and artificial baits. On the calm days, these tarpon are also being found off the beaches of the entire region and also along the outside flats from Key Biscayne south to Angelfish Creek. And these fish can be sight fished with swimming rapalas, 4-inch jerkbaits, and live crabs, mullet, pinfish, and crab pattern flies. Now moving offshore, dolphin fish has been as good as it gets in the past week. Not much in the way of big fish, but all the schoolies that anyone cares to clean. And even better, they haven't been too far offshore. They've been anywhere from 400 to 900 feet of water, which is roughly 4 to 7 miles offshore. And there's been a lot of floating debris coming through, I guess, from all that rain we had last week. But most of the fish have been under birds. They've been heading to the south. We've been getting them on trolled small feathers and lures, along with rig ballyhoo, and that's been getting the best bites. And then once you do find the fish, we've been pitching small live baits and cut ballyhoo or bonita to this fish, and they've been working to the south, like I said. Most of the fish have been in the 3 to 6 pound range, but you never know when a larger one is going to show up. Now, I got a photo here. This is a 35-pound bull dolphin caught off Miami by Dr. Alan Serrier, I think, something like that, aboard the Saline Solution with my other brother, Captain Steve Thomas. Now, staying offshore again, there's been a lot of kingfish along the edge of the Gulf Stream in 90 to 150 feet of water. And down in the south end of the region, we're only getting a few of those king bites, but to the north around Hillsborough and Boynton Inlets, the bite has been a lot better, fishing with live pilchards, herrings, and goggle eyes under the kite or on the drift. Also trolling the planer with a pink sea witch and bonita strip. That's also been getting the bites. And most of these kings have been in the 10 to 15 pound range, but there have been fish up to 25 pounds caught.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We appreciate all your hard work every week. I'm glad you're back from the Bahamas. I know you had a great trip over there. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Casa Vieja southeast region inshore. Big tarpon are eating live crabs and mullets fished in the inlets and off the beaches in the late afternoons and evenings. And then offshore, look for the dolphin under the birds, floating debris, and weeds in 500 to 1,200 feet of water. So it sounds like to me, if we want to catch a big dolphin, we got to move out. 600 to 1,200 seems to be where all the big stuff is.
Seems to be. I know there's, what, 3 photos now with huge dolphins, like over 30, 40 pounds.
Let's keep our finger crossed.
I'm so excited. Okay, there you have it, Florida. Another weekend of successful and hopefully better fishing weather's on the way, but we want to tell you what we'll be talking about next week right here on the Chevy Florida
Insider Fishing Report.
So good
Check
at that
out that
now.
king sailfish hammerhead.
Oh, snap. Every truck guy has their own way of conveying powerful.
Yeah, boy. Kind of looks like a monster coming to eat you. Holy smokes.
That is awesome. Strong.
You got the basic and you got the beefy.
I just think it looks mean.
Incredible. No way. I'm getting goosebumps.
Get 17% below MSRP on all Silverado 1500 LT pickups in stock. That's over $8,100 on this Chevy Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
The ultimate predator has evolved again. Now, Yamaha VMAX SHO Performance is prowling the waters in 4 hungry, exciting new models. With their 4 valves per cylinder and double overhead cam fuel-injected design, these advanced 4-stroke predators are taking performance to a whole new level. Vicious, lean, efficient. VMAX SHO. The pack is growing.
When you're paid to put fish in the boat, you don't mess around with the thing that puts fish in the boat. Always use the best line.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to keep up with our captains, contests, and appearances. You never have to miss a show. You can find full episodes, special segments, and updated fishing reports from your region right on our homepage. Just head to ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com for everything you need to know to stay hooked up. Next week, it's our favorite annual kids show. We always have such, yes Dave, yes, we have such a great time here in the studio, and the kids get an educational and fun experience, casting, knot tying, along with games, prizes, and more. So if you and your kids would like to be a part of our live studio audience, you still have time. Go sign up on our website, ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com, and you can also sign up via our Facebook. Make sure to tune in Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for that. Are you guys super excited for the kids to get here?
Yes, I'll bring Molly Moo.
150 kids running around. Sounds like what I wanted to sign up for.
Sounds just like an extension of Father's Day. That's what that sounds like, and I love it. I'm so excited. Thank you guys for tuning in.
You don't have any.
I don't have any.
Hey, great live audience. Thank you guys tonight. Thank you so much. You guys did great.